I think she went into helping kids, which is why she became a counselor. But the mental wear and tear it takes to be an advocate for other people's health is something we understand, but they get it on a deeper level and can go into it more because they're licensed and other stuff. Like here, I'm just helping with what I got and what I know and how I can. But for her, she actually, they take the deep dives and they go with them, and she does a lot with kids. So I think, ironically, when she started doing this job, taking care of others, she just stopped taking as good a care of herself. Yeah. So
that's fine.
Now they look different, but at the time, like let's say about 5-6 years ago, damn near splitting images. Like I look at your mom, I'm like, yo, your mom could really be either my aunt or my mother. She reminded me of my Aunt Dorothy a lot, but my Aunt Dorothy is my great aunt, so she's older.
Gotcha.
But literally the hair, the makeup, not necessarily how she speaks, but very close. Like your people from Alabama or anything like that?
North Connecticut.
North Connecticut. Okay, so. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So not very.
No, not at all. Because I was like, again, it's the way she carries herself that I'm like, they got to be from similar area. Because
I think
my people from Bama.
My grandma moved here from when she got married. She moved here from Georgia.
Okay.
I believe. Was it Georgia? I'm gonna have to recheck, but I think it is Georgia.
Okay. That makes sense.
But none of the rest of the family is from there, just grandma.
Got it. Okay. It was one of those things, again, watching her, listening to her talk, hearing the things that are being said. I'm like, yo, we've always had like an unspoken kindredship, but like then hearing her, and like the first time your mom flirted with me, I was like, I remind her of somebody. That's one of them, like one of those instances. It's not, oh man, I think he's so attractive, kind of. No, but it's at the same time, yes, but also
it is
something
past experience,
past me. Yes, past experience. Yes. So I was just like, I was laughing because I was just listening. I'm looking at your mom and I was like, yo, she really flirting with me right now.
Yeah, I was dying.
I thought it was funny.
My favorite part was when Ashley was like, I want some mac salad. And then my mom just got on you so quick. I was like, hey,
mad fast. I was like, Mom, you're not going to get the mac salad? You heard her say she want mac salad. You're not going to get it. I'm like, I'm gonna go get the mac salad because I'm not gonna hear it from her, but you won't keep going. I was like, all right, and she even came over. What makes that even funnier? She came over. She was like, you didn't have to go get it. I said, baby, it's fine. I'm already up. I was like, the reason I didn't hop up is because they wasn't prepared. They wasn't ready. They didn't even have the utensils yet. So I was just waiting for things to be a little more organized. Like I love helping Ash because of the baby and the other stuff, but again, I come off a little crass. So I think a lot of people don't know I grew up with like Southern values a little bit, so a lot of that being chivalrous stuff is real for me. Like it's something I actually enjoy doing.
That must be Southern because I grew up with those. Just my mom put those in.
That's what. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's why I say I know your moms and my people's got to be from similar space. Just because again we have similar values. Right, and I'd be like, yeah, you do get that. I was like, huh, why do I get that? Like it'll be something we've never talked about, and our values are the same. I'm like, okay, got it. Right. So again, underlying things. Welcome everybody. I'm Coach Linden, and
I'm Coach Debbie.
Welcome to Coach's Corner, where we sit down and break down some of the stuff that we're thinking, doing, and really just share a community, share what's happening over here at Getting It Daily. So recently we were talking about the cookout. The cookout was we had a cookout ourselves. Great turnout. It was a great time. This was a while ago, but this time was more like a kickball party with a side of cookout. And we were laughing. Right? It was supposed to start at 3. It started closer. It really started
5.
Closer to like 4:30 or 5. Right? And I remember when we were going, Ashley used to be on me all the time, like, oh my gosh, we got to be there on time. I'd be like, yo, if you don't know, I said, I know you used to dealing with, let's say, mid-class folk. I said, but when you playing from like low to mid-class, I said, we late. We don't, time is an option, not a determining factor. Right, and I said, so I was like, we got there at like 3:45, and I didn't feel bad at all. I was like,
we got there mad early.
Yeah, and we were early. I was like, so it's all good. But I had a good time. I still laughed about how the kickball started. Like you was over in the corner like a little kid playing by yourself.
Yeah, I was like, yo, is anyone gonna play? I was like, I'm just gonna go over there and wait.
Yeah, Ed was rocking with me. I was kind of watching LJ, and I was like, I saw you out there. I was like, yo, that man looked mad lonely, son. He said, yeah, you do. I said, let's go out there and just rock with him, even if it's just us. And as soon as we went out and moved the bases, they came over. You know, first it started with the critiquing, like this, that. Next thing you know, everybody wanted to kick, right? And then it turned into like a full blown game.
Yeah.
Let's give like 2 or 3 highlights from either the game or the picnic for you, right?
Oh yeah.
And we could chat about them. I'll give one, you give one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of keep it light.
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments was definitely when I went to go run towards old boy, and he just like, he got so scared. Like, again, I get it. Dude my size running at you, it might throw you off a little bit. So he said, I'm trying to go to work tomorrow. I ain't trying to get hurt. That made me laugh.
Yeah.
What's yours?
Yeah, I'm gonna do one from both. I'm sorry.
All right,
There's too many good moments.
There was some pretty good moments.
I say right after that, when you slipped, yo, that got me.
I'm trying to leave that out.
Well, first off, I was about to get right up on that girl. I was gonna let her get home. I got her out twice, and she really wanted to get home.
Yeah,
and I was like,
that's why I hopped out.
Yeah, and I saw
really
why you hopped out, and I was
yeah.
like, yo, because when you fell, I was like, it's over. I can't even finish my joke. And that got me.
Yeah, because y'all don't know, there was a kid heading to home. As Dev said, she had went a couple times. Cute little girl. And she just, had a little attitude the whole time, was like, I just want to get home, like to her mom before it even happened. And I was just like, I heard her, right? And I said, okay. So you was coming fast.
I was coming in fast.
I was like, protect the baby, protect the, my whole sandal came unbuckled. So I just went through it, and my leg went forward, and I just fell. Yo, mad funny. It was definitely a hilarious moment.
I had to stop mid. I was like full speed, and then it was over. I was like, oh, he fell.
No, it actually brings me to my second point. Yo, Ed has no mercy on kids, and it is hilarious to me. I know. I'm about it. I'm
really about it. I think there's too much mercy on kids these days.
Yeah, this generation is definitely a little softer than previous or prior. And it's not, not like it's a bad thing. Yeah. It's just.
We should have a balance. We should have a little bit of both.
Agreed. I think there are more kids being raised in sensitive environments than ever before, and that's so. Even I noticed when Lauren was little, they were giving out participation trophies, and I was like, I literally would have to tell them like, don't give my daughter that. If you're not giving her a trophy, she doesn't need that. I appreciate it, right? And I remember getting into arguments with parents because they were like, well, your kid's just as valuable as mine. Why are we arguing about that fact? It's not even something to argue about, right?
That's not even the point
I'm not
of this.
disputing that, right? That's not my fight, right? But if you're not paying attention, you're not paying attention. I can't change that.
And I remember my first experience was when I was in Taekwondo. My mom put me in Taekwondo because I got my ass whooped on the bus. And she was like, never again, right? But she also did Taekwondo with me, right?
I remember.
It was something we did together.
Yeah, I think you talked about that on the podcast before. So.
But when I got up to, I believe it was green belt, then they had this program you could buy into. And if you paid the money, they guarantee you a black belt by the end of the program. And my mom was like, we're not doing this anymore, right? And I understand why, because it's like, your black belt is supposed to be
something you earn.
It's supposed to signify something. The time you put in, the skill that you acquire.
Isn't it? Yo, this is how much I remember martial arts. It's green belt, blue stripe, blue belt, red stripe, red stripe, red belt, red belt, black or yellow.
Stripe.
Is it black?
No, wait.
It's black, right?
It is black stripe.
Okay,
red, black,
then black belt with varying degrees.
With yellow, then you get white stripe and then yellow stripe. Yeah, and you can go up.
Oh, okay, white then yellow. Yeah, I was gonna say I thought it was red then black then something, and I couldn't remember what it was.
It goes white, yellow, green, red, black again with the stripes on the black belt.
All right, okay, got it. Yeah, I laugh because they got a good little system. But yeah, I agreed. the fact that you can buy a belt,
Yeah,
I get it to stay competitive because of how people are.
But what if by the end of the program you still don't have the skill?
That's
still get
actually,
the belt.
well, that's what I'm finding, and I'm kind of seeing it here a little bit, right? Like today, we actually did a very, very tough circuit.
That was tough.
And like, even one of our community leaders was dying, right? Like, just gave out. So I actually stepped in and worked out with him, and my shoulders are super shot, right? And I still did it, and talked about it, and worked with him, and said, showed everybody that it was possible. And watching people, like, at first, again, this is what I be saying all the time. I'll get into it more, but you can change the atmosphere via your action, right? So like, I love Kay. Shout out to Kay. Kay was super tired, had just came back from vacation, and came back to this very, very tough workout. And man, I've never heard Kay complain so many times.
Me either.
Right?
I was like,
it was
okay.
uncharacteristic of Kay to complain as much as they did. But at the same time, you could tell it was from a real space. It wasn't, I don't want to do it. It's just that I can't. I feel like I can't.
Tough, yeah.
I'm feeling defeated. Like, that was the rhetoric. It wasn't I don't wanna. It wasn't. Eventually it became I don't wanna. But it started off as I don't think I can do this.
I can't do this. I don't think I'm gonna make it. Right.
So I grabbed a couple bells, right, and I headed out to the floor and I joined them. And they got to see what it was like to put in the work regardless. I was like, it doesn't matter how tired you are. I get it. It's harder today than it would be the next day. But even if I went super light, as long as I finished, that's a win. That's what I went over. So it was. And again, I want to go over that more, but I figured we should talk more about the picnic thing. So jumping back, your second highlight.
Oh dang, yeah, we jumping around.
Yeah.
My second thing was honestly seeing. It was more of like a personal moment. Like,
Sure.
I think you were here when I started saying I wanted to manifest more community events, wanted to do more stuff like that.
Yeah, this one was all you, ironically. I didn't have anything to
and
do
like,
with it.
I think I've just gotten to a point where I've been doing the thing for long enough that it feels more comfortable. Juanita, shouts out to my cousin Juanita.
She was in the yellow?
Put this together. Was it yellow? I thought she was wearing like the two-piece like shorts and.
I think it was yellow.
Yeah,
there was one that the one that came early. The one, pretty sure it was yellow.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out who's who.
But Juanita came and I had asked her the night before. I was like, hey, do you need anything? I even like asked, you need an extra cooler? You need any bug spray? Like, you need any things like that? She was like, oh my God, thank you so much. Like trying to put some things together because I do know that it's hard to lead events now. So when I see people trying to do it without experience, it's like, yo, that makes sense. Having more hands to help. And I realized, this is my favorite part, I realized how much my family is just strong Black women. And like, I was there to help. They didn't put me to work at all. I was like, you were there to help. They didn't put us to work at all.
No, they really didn't. I ended up helping once, like in the beginning.
And you could tell they're used to doing things for
on their
themselves.
own. Yeah.
But it also, like, it started out that way. And then
eventually,
like, everyone coming together and seeing the community and my family and each other accepting each other was, like, beautiful for me and healing in a way.
Okay.
That I don't think I've really processed yet.
GID in your family.
Yeah.
Finding common. Okay. Yeah. Well, we're in a family space, man. Like, I think, a lot of times it gets lost because, we are who we are, and we come in as people to push towards the bigger thing. So I think it can get lost. It can get lost that you are part of something bigger, and we all have our own communities. I was actually talking to Em this morning about that. Shouts out to Em, as she took a lot of pictures as we did Sunday Swing.
Yeah. I don't know how she'd be capturing the dopest pictures. I don't even see her there.
Because Em has a lot of skills, right? Like, she's lived I've had to make it work type lifestyle. So she used to be a photographer at one point. So ironically, she actually has the skill set to capture great moments and shots. And she does do a pretty damn good job of it. And what was crazy wasn't necessarily the shots, we were talking about it, right? She was talking about connection and other things. And she's like, I don't really have a community. Like, I was like, everyone has a community. You may not have a very large community. Your community might be you and one other person, but everybody has a community, right? Just because you see me with my family and you know, people think like, man, Linda's probably got this big family. I technically do. But the reason my family isn't around like that is because there's so much baggage there that even being in space with them can be very, very hard. So like, you know, I would love to one day bridge the gap and be the glue in between and bring us together where I can be in space with my family, and it'd be all good. But there has been so much hurt and other things that it's very hard for people to just come and sit in the same space without that hurt coming out.
I totally understand that.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, you guys won't know how much I understand that, but I think that's been a big struggle for me is like, I think what I'm called to do is that work, right? And I've been avoiding it in my family because
it's hard.
Because of my own hurt.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I grew up just me and my mom's, and you know, like that whole dynamic extended towards, you know, me not seeing my family very often, and then I realized they don't have like that protection or that safety net to lean on, where it's like,
Fair.
yo, we got a bunch of, you know, strong men that are here and, you know, and able to, that we trust.
And willing.
And able and willing, right?
Yeah.
And I realized that if that's my work, that's a lot of goddamn work. It's like a lot of women that I have to have a lot of conversation and build connection and be consistent with. And it wasn't until I found this space that I even learned any of those things, that I even learned I had those tools on my tool belt. So I'm like, to go in, this is my first foyer, bringing my family to
to this community.
To this community.
Yeah, your extended family?
Yeah, and I didn't know how it was going to play out, because I will say, I haven't been to many family events where there wasn't an actual physical fight. And my mom's, to be real, my mom's was just going to drop August off.
Yeah, I remember you said that.
And because my aunt was there.
Yeah,
and that was another beautiful moment, is like I got to speak to my aunt, and she got, shouts out to my auntie Denise, she got stuck in quarantine. In Africa
during quarantine.
And I think she did a lot of healing from like childhood stuff. You know, I think there was no way but for her to heal there. Yeah, and seeing her, like looking in her eyes and having conversation, I was like, oh, there's a calmness there that I don't think a lot of people in my family get, you know, and I don't know how that affects things, but.
Very much so. I mean, you got to think about it, dog. Like, I'm going to say, like, and I hate saying stuff like this a little bit because it makes it seem like I'm like cocky or arrogant. But like, even me being there and me being me helps bridge the gap. Like, that's what we do as part of what our job is as men, is to help create space, right? Like, that's actually what we do. So I think even me being there and not being part of the problem and being part of the solution and creating connections, like, I watched all of the women. They avoided me for a bit. Yeah. And then eventually they were like, oh, he's cool, he smiles, he's not some big angry dude, right? Which is probably what they're used to hearing, seeing, and dealing with, right? Like, oh, he's cool until I say this or do this. And I think that became the very much larger problem in how you can share, what you do. And it was noticeable, right? Like, it was noticeable when there was a shift. Even with kickball, like, again, when you were out there. You were out there by yourself. When me and Ed walked over, they were like,
became a thing.
They were like, huh? And they became curious, and it came out. Even when we started, it was very guarded. Like, everybody just wanted to kick. Nobody wanted to play defense, right? And that's kind of why, like, I gave it a real effort, like, to show them, like, hey, you can be an adult and have a good time and have fun, do something childish and have a good time. And again, you saw them connect with me, you saw those moments, and that's what I think it means to change. It's not like being this, a lot of people want to be the guy given the credit or the person given the credit, but that's not necessarily, like, I didn't do that, right?
Well, I do have to give you credit, because that was my next thing.
Yeah,
I appreciate
didn't,
you being there.
Yeah, of course.
Like, more than you know.
Of course. Again, being mentor, friend, it means, like, showing you what I have to offer, right? Who I am and why who I am is good for the world.
I don't think about it as that gravitas at the moment, but I do think like who I am could be helpful.
Yeah.
Right?
It affects things.
Yes. And realizing that was something I had to give myself. So once I gave myself that, I was able to be more of myself. So like your mom might have felt comfortable because I was there, right? And then I had my family with me, which makes it even more comfortable. Like, oh, we ain't fighting because there's families here. Oh, these are people. We don't act up in front of company.
Yeah, right.
You get what I'm saying? Like that's the kind of rhetoric.
Yeah.
And then it becomes like a blanket. So your mom sat, like she was uncomfortable when she first sat with us, but then a little bit of flirting and
Some
really,
tongue. Yeah, you know, tongue. She was like, oh, I know this one.
yeah. So then she sat down. She felt like, you know, like the leader she wants to be kind of deal. Like you could see the dynamic shift. So yes, she was messing with Esther a little bit, but at the same time, you could tell like she was also teaching her, right? And Esther's just never, I don't think Esther's ever encountered it like that. I don't want to say she doesn't have any mentors in her life, but she hasn't encountered it like that, which is what kind of threw her off. But that's a good thing. There's different ways to learn and different ways to be. So even that, again, watching even Esther kind of open up, like Esther barely talks and she was like communicative, talking with people, moving through. It was just good to see. My favorite part, actually, this is like a sub, this isn't my favorite part, but it ties into the bigger thing, was watching the other women become comfortable with me. That was great. Like it just felt better. Again, they started telling jokes to me. They started talking with like their kids was around me. They didn't jump to go get them. Right? Like you can always tell when a mother is nervous. And that's what it felt like at first. Again, the kids were very close and tight. And
it
all
felt
of a sudden,
very much like that. Like even for me, like I don't see my family that often, so this is like also a foyer of me like coming back around my family because they don't see me often. So they're like, yo, Dev, you know. But I think this one of the lessons that I've been giving myself is like how much effect I have, you know, just being in space. That's part of like what gives me confidence to like have my son around and like, move in these ways. It's like I realize that things do change based off of me being there and based off of me speaking. Both stuff with me taking initiative, you know, like I have the power to take initiative and I can hold space, you know, and so I think doing that more does change. It's also a big burden to bear. I don't know.
it's it feels heavy, but that's, I think, I don't say this lightly, but part of the reason why I go to war with myself is because I understand the kind of place the world is. To be strong is to be strong for the people I care about at every level, right? Like, you don't see me crying over self often. It's not that it doesn't ever happen. It's just that you don't see it often because I'm always going to war with myself. I'm always going to war with the old me for the me that needs to be. And that created the current version of self, right? The version that can survive in any environment and still be myself, right? Sometimes it takes me a minute. Sometimes I'm right on it. Like, it depends. Like, if I'm in leadership, I'm always pretty solid. But as an individual, I'm still an introvert. There's times I just don't want to do that, right? And that has become the thing. So, again, to fight, when I fight myself in those moments, I build my tenacity. It's like building your calluses when you work out. I'm building my ability to stay in the fight for longer period of times. I'm building my ability for someone to go off on me and for me to not respond or react, right? I respond.
I always put it as staying in the vat of acid.
Yeah, that's fair, because it does feel like you're burning, being cut, being whittled down, so to speak.
1,000 cuts.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Again, the better you get at it, your body will get tougher, and with being able to withstand those things. So like I get asked that from time to time. Like, man, you really just be navigating stuff. And I said, it's again, you just got to keep doing it, right? It seems like that's not the case, but it is. The only way to get better is to actually practice. Fair.
Facts.
So
let's also talk about the Sunday swing.
Sure. What do you want to talk about?
I just thought it was lit. I think it was a good thing. I don't know how you felt about it. We didn't really get to check in, but
I know. Yeah. Well, there was a lot of moving parts. Yeah. And that's actually my third favorite moment, was seeing you with your son. You said it on Sunday. You didn't say a Saturday, but you said it on Sunday. You're like, I'm not sure, right? And that, like, I know you don't know, but that's probably one of the most beautiful things, is like not knowing that you love enough to you're so cautious about how you shape this little person. Like that was beautiful for me, because that's how I felt when I had Lauren. Like, I was like, I can't say this because if I say this, it's gonna affect her. It's just gonna affect her. I gotta keep her safe. Like, the world is a dangerous place. I just wanted my baby to be safe. So when I heard you say that about August, I was like, yeah, that's your son. Like, that's your son. That's not just some kid you had. That's your son, right? And to hear you say that as a father, it warmed my heart, because that means you have a true connection there. So I didn't get a chance to say that to you, but that was my favorite moment from the thing, was watching you, like, through your uncomfortability, still connect. That's big. Yes. Sunday swings. It's one of those things, man. Like, I think our community deserves to like move and enjoy it, right? Like, when we're here, we're training, we're going after it. It's that, right? But the reason why people, I think, are starting to like really fall for Bars and Bells is the same reason why Sunday swings will be something I think we will truly enjoy. Mm-hmm. And most people don't know this, so y'all are getting this if you watch Coach's Corner. But I found out a little ways back, Sarah actually suggested teaching for me. Especially with Ashley being pregnant again, just literally, like taking over like Wednesday Bars and Bells, or subbing for Wednesday Bars and Bells or yoga, and also them coaching Sunday swing, so I don't have to do it. They said it for the community training as well. Yeah, they really want to step in, right? Amy, same wheelhouse, same thing, same feel. And I was just
I've been pushing for that too.
Yeah, I believe it. It's a thing where, like, you know, that you can tell they want to do it, and I don't think I really realized it until
last week.
Was it last week?
Last week.
Okay, yeah. It was last week, right? Because we did the cast about it, right? It was last week. It was crazy to me how I didn't realize, like, you know, again, I've been doing this for so long alone, and again, you were the first person to come along, so like, it's not necessarily giving it up that scares me now, but knowing that I gotta be a better leader, I think, is the scary part for me, right? Like, people being willing to help. Like, these are powerful people. These aren't, you know, run-of-the-mill regular folk. You know what I'm saying? These are people who like are convicted and stand on their own principles and are authentic people, in my opinion. Like, Amy and Sarah are very authentic people, and authentic people. Like, we all got our struggles and our problems, but really just authentic folk. And I felt the same way when Garf started calling me big bro, or when you started telling me like I'm like a dad figure. It's the same type of feel, but just at an elevated level. So there's a side of having to reach it, and then there's a side of knowing it's going to be work, right? And that's what you were referring to when you're talking about your generational stuff. It's like, I get it, right? So Sunday Swings itself was great, but at the same time, now it's helping Amy and Sarah be able to still make it great, helping you still be able to make it great, like let it keep that uniqueness, but also not try to control how y'all make it great, right? It's just, that's where my mind goes, right? Like, putting Sarah on a poster as the coach, I would be very interested to see how that goes. You get what I'm saying? Like, just legitimately by myself. Like, Amy,
sounds healing across the board. I don't know. Sounds healing in a way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For her and for other things. Like, that's, you never. It's so crazy how we don't know how many scars people really have. So it's one of those things where I'm like, yo, this is
about to be something.
Yeah, and they're all doing it because they love us so much that they want to make the transition with the baby easier, the next one, because they knew the type of strain it put on me and Ash. So it's love, man. Like, and I'm the more I lean into it, the more I'm like, damn, it's daunting. You know, it's daunting to be the person you can trust to a point where you let me lead. And, you know, a lot of people are volunteer, man. Like, they're not being paid, right? And I think a lot of people are like, man, they're probably making crazy money in there. Like, I'm not making crazy money. I'm doing okay, but I'm not making crazy money. So when someone says I want to help, and I'm like, I don't really know if I could pay you because I'm trying to be honest, and then they're like, I'm not worried about being paid. I'm like, why? Like, that's just, you know what I'm saying? For me, like, what's the value in your head? And then when people talk about me, I start to hear it.
Yeah, you have to realize your own values, your own self-worth.
Imposter syndrome definitely kicks up when people like are asking me to lead more, you know? So it's funny how we all deal with the same things, right?
Yeah. I was just talking about when Marjorie walked in, she was like talking about like Esther and her were chatting about the smell in here. They were like, well, it's funny walking from like balmy outside in the morning to like the air is thick in here, and it's like, and Esther said it's like walking into someone's armpit, right? And I was like, yeah, but it's not just that. And I was like, a vibe encompasses all 5 senses. So you were talking on like changing the vibe in here and bringing it up, bringing it down. I was like, part of it is when you walk in, like the music's blasting, you smell that smell, and it's not out misplaced. I was like, if you went in to create a pizza and you smelled that smell, you probably walk out.
Right.
If you walked in here and you smelled fresh dough baking, you'd probably walk out.
You're being confused as hell.
Yeah, it's just like, yo, why does it smell like that in here? But because you see the work, you hear it in the music, like the smell is what it is, the air is thick, you know, we got the fans blasting,
That's
like
funny.
People are moving. It gets you in like this hype mode where you're like, I'm ready to work. And that is the vibe that I think you strive to create in the mornings. And that
What you're talking about by being me in the space. Yeah.
And that carries throughout all of the training.
It really
all the way
does.
until like 10 a.m.
Yeah, it really does. Like, that's probably the most interesting part. Like, I remember when the trains were kind of lackluster.
Yeah.
And like, I'm doing the same stuff I was doing back then, except for I'm like letting people see me train, right? And when I went to go sit with August this morning, he was like, "You're strong," and he just kept doing what he was doing. And I just laughed. I just laughed because again, you can change an atmosphere, right? And it makes me think about like you know, we all listen to music and other things like to help us soothe ourselves. And I was like, how often do you prepare to go to war with yourself by what you listen to, right? Like what you put in your ears, what do you put in your eyes? Like with what you consume, how ready are you to take yourself to another level? And that's what I was thinking about.
That's I don't know. That feels like a deep topic. What you consume, how ready are you?
Yeah, like and again, I'm tying it to fitness, but you can really tie it to anything. If you come in, you say you want to lose weight, well, your next challenge is losing weight. But first of all, is that really what you want, right? So now you have to face yourself, right? And then literally everything you're doing from that point. Why do you think so many people make lifestyle changes in order to lose weight, right? It's not just, I'll just lose some weight and then they change a meal and then everything goes great. No, they start working out, they have a meal plan. Like, why are so many people pursuing changing everything when they want to change one thing?
Because it's always tied to it.
Right? Because so many things are tied, right? Like, if you would have told me Jada would have been here at 6 o'clock training in the mornings,
that's crazy, right?
I'd have been like, I don't think she wakes up earlier than 9. Right, like that's kind of her thing. She's not getting up early, and now she runs in here at 6 in the morning. She beat all of y'all here. She was literally the second person here.
Oh, I saw. I was like, that's Jada on time.
She was super early. She was 10 minutes ahead of time, and again, it just speaks to like the atmosphere. Right? And she tried to talk to me, and I was like, I just don't feel like talking right now. And I wasn't trying to be rude, but I don't think she ever saw me.
She never got up early enough.
Yeah, fair, right? Because if you see me early, I gotta like go from warrior mode to okay, I'm teaching, right? And sometimes that's hard. Based on what I had to do, based on what I experienced the night before. Like, I think a lot of people think that the fitness thing comes easy and that's why we do it. And I'm sure there are people out there like that. But I'm not gifted as an athlete at all. Doesn't mean I don't work to be one, but I'm not gifted to be one. So a lot of the stuff that people see me do that I make look easy, so much practice, so many times, even when I'm not in here, and this is what I mean by consume. Like, someone will see me do like the single stance deadlift, and they're like, man, that's impressive. Yeah, but you know how many times I fell over when I came from bodybuilding trying to make it this transition to functional training? How many times I toppled or didn't get, like people saw me kind of hopping and keeping my stance, and they were like, yo, what the fuck? But a lot of it is, again, it was multiple practice. Yeah. I actually have trouble staying still, right? Like in those spaces. So again, what I consumed in order to be better is not just the nutrition. It's the videos I watch to understand how my leg moves. It's the feeling of the appropriate areas, right? Again, I'm consuming how I'm like listening to my body, right? And that's not an easy task. But that's also why I think a lot of athletes who do this for in the longer term have better body awareness and better like connection to greater things, right? It takes a lot to really tap into who you are.
Yeah, lifestyle changes is a big thing. I think if you're trying to make long-lasting change and then build on that, it does require lifestyle change. I was talking with Alicia, and she came in here a little bit late. She started doing her walks, and she was like, I'm really feeling it today. I was like, oh yeah? I was like, and she was like, yeah, these walks are really I'm tight and stressful on my joints. And I was like, what you did this weekend? And she was like, oh. Went to Drew Hill, went to another state fair, and I was like, okay, that's cool.
Hanging out and eating crazy.
Yeah, I was like, that's cool. Yeah. She said, yeah, I did a lot of walking, so it's probably why I'm tight. I was like, you want to know why you're actually tight?
Or the inflammatory foods.
I was like, what'd you eat? And she was like, fried Oreos, cotton candy, and I was like, all those sugar things are inflammatory, which cuts off your. And I know this for sure now because I just did the cleanse, and I was like, the inflammation doesn't really, in my body, register as like puffiness, but it's more of like connection to my body.
You guys don't do it as often either. Yeah. You're not consuming it 5 times a week. You're consuming it once or twice.
Right.
So your body's not swollen enough to register it as swollen, for sure.
But it definitely cuts off like my ability to like feel my CNS, you know? Like, am I gonna be able to feel my muscles moving with this inflammation around it? And then I was like, also, how much water did you drink, Alicia? She was like, And I was like, yeah, so you dehydrated and inflamed?
And then it's the walks that are bad.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, the walks don't feel good today. Even how you frame it has to do with what you consume.
Yeah.
Right? Like
you're consuming your own words.
Yeah. That's why people change atmospheres. Like when they try to get healthy, they start to lose friends.
The way that
you don't lose friends because they're bad. It's because of what they're saying doesn't match with where you're going or trying to go. And you realize that in order to change, maybe you don't have anybody in your local circle that you could do that with. If you attend GID, you do, right? This is a very tight-knit community. However, let's say you just start watching more videos. Well, now you're consuming more videos. Now there is less time for that stuff. So it actually does matter. That's my favorite part. My favorite part isn't necessarily what's being said. It's more like what's being shared. Right? And a lot of people don't realize that you're consuming isn't just your mouth, it's your nose, it's your ears, it's your eyes. There's more to it than just this one thing. So if we have that going for ourselves, then we should own that, right? So again, what you consume can be the difference between change and staying stagnant. And a lot of people I'm finding are consuming poor things or way too much of things that don't serve what they want. Fair? So that's how I like to think of it. And I hope that it works that way for you. We're going to sign off because Dev's fam's here.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for going ahead and joining us. If you'd like to find us, you can reach out at www.gettingitdaily.com, or you can find us on social media. Hold on. On social media on Facebook or Instagram. And we're under the tag Getting It Daily, so you can come out and join us. Okay? Thank you so much. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace. We knew he was coming in to interrupt. We knew. All right? I've been a dad long enough.